Hello, everyone. We are very lucky today to have André Torsvik of Fonn Group joining us all the way from Bergen, Norway. André, welcome and congrats on your success.
Thanks so much, and thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. All right. So Fonn Group has been gaining a lot of attention lately. Can you start by telling us what drives your mission and vision as a company?
So for us, it's quite simple. Fonn Group and the product companies underneath it, both Mimir and Saga, are driven just very simply by making the best product that we possibly can. And we this is something that we don't just believe this in our product teams, but we believe this throughout the entire organization. And we subscribe quite closely to the whole concept of empowered product teams. So as an organization, we collect all the problems that our customers might have. We deliver them to the product team, and then it's up to them, the guys who are closest to the technology, to come up with the best solution, the one that will fit the customers best and solve the problems in the best way. So I mean, we don't do mission statements, we don't do vision statements, we don't do any of that. We just focus on building product. That is the ultimate goal for us.
Yeah. And it's such a simple formula for success, but it works, right? Just listening to your customers and driving product through that, it works so well. All right. And okay. And for those who may not be familiar, what is Mimir, and what does it solve for media companies and broadcasters?
So Mimir is essentially a fully cloud native and serverless MAM, PAM, and DAM in a single product or a single platform. And I make that important distinction saying serverless as well, because a lot of people now incorrectly sometimes claim to be cloud native, but you can't really say that you're serverless, i.e. no spinning machines, only running on Lambda services in AWS, unless you actually do. So for us, that's quite important because it adds to the infrastructure and how we work and what we're able to deliver in terms of true distributed workflows. Now, we are MAM, PAM, and DAM, and then for all of those functionalities or use cases, we use various AI services that were plugged into to generate automatically metadata and tagging that timed metadata onto all of the assets. So imagine going from a past in which you had your tape library, your archive, your news archive, sports archive, your near storage, your far storage, all of these things, right, with different kinds of archiving systems and different kinds of labeling, of metadata tagging, of people manually sitting down, and they still do this in a lot of broadcasters, and labeling the tape with what was happening in that half hour, and just automating that whole process and creating incredibly rich metadata of everything that was said, transcription and translation from other languages, of all the faces detected, of every object labeled in there, and much, much more, and getting all that as timed and searchable metadata. So that's where we
Yeah.
sort of bring it from and to.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Okay. And now, can you share an example of how Mimir has transformed a customer's workflow, perhaps saving time, improving collaboration, and or cutting costs?
So, of course, as you'll be familiar with from this industry, there are a lot of customers I can't speak specifically about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'll give you two really different examples that I think are still very good. One I can name and one I can't. So, um, one that I can't say which one it is, but there's a major newsroom that wanted to do a fully cloud native asset management that they could work on globally. They work on loads of different feeds and loads of different ingests from around the world, and they produce around the clock, right? And they wanted to do fully cloud, which is easy in Mimir, but they also wanted to have it completely redundant in the cloud. So working with them, we were able to build a full region to region replication of everything that they ingest and everything they work on. So their employees are able to just work from wherever they are in the world, log into the region that they choose, and then should something happen, like an event that impacts the AWS services in their region, they can simply work in the other region. And because it is running in a fully replicated mode, everything that's being done in one region is always up to date and up to speed with everything happening in the other region. And that includes stuff like, I mean, of course, all the data, but all the metadata being applied when we cut something in our very simple cutter inside of the tool, or not so simple anymore, but all the edits are still there in both regions, and stuff like things being exported to Adobe Premiere, all of those projects also replicated across both regions. And of course, this is something you hope you never have to engage or deal with, but as we know, this can happen. So this transformed sort of their security and their ability to work in a fully redundant and backup fashion across the entire globe. So that's
Gotcha.
one example. And then if we go, I'll give two more, and then you will see which ones are the most relevant. But the second example is Formula E that we work with. And they have they do races around the world, right?
Right.
In electric Formula racing, and they have a lot of feeds coming in, obviously, lots of content. I mean, hundreds of cameras at every race. But the editors who create the highlight packages and work on the races, they sit in London. And all of that content is then ingested into the cloud, made available to them instantly, and they can start their work as the files come into London, right?
Right. Right.
Which of course saves a lot on traveling. It saves a lot on moving people around. It makes it easier to work there, and it makes it a lot faster, right? And then final example I'll give you is about archiving workflows. And this is something that I mean, CBS recently announced this publicly, so I'm allowed to say it. But they're putting about 2 million hours of their archive content onto Mimir and metadata tagging all of it. Of course, that means that that's all searchable now. That's something that once they're done, they will have access to that entire massive and incredibly valuable archive, and be able to search it from anywhere in the world or anywhere in the organization.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Andre. And I'll say again, I respect and acknowledge, not to talk about company names, but because we work in North America, Canada, the U.S., and certainly see the number and the size of media organizations that are either starting to use your product, have used it, or are seriously impressed and looking at it. So really a lot of momentum for you. So great to see and good for you. Okay, and now you refer to some of the AI tools that you can integrate with, and that helps certainly with workflows that customers want. But Mimir uses powerful search and AI tools. How do these features help teams unlock value from their video archives and live content? You've certainly spoken to this, touched on this already, but
Yep.
maybe just a little more in depth if you like.
Yeah, and certainly. I mean, so as I said, it's on the one hand, it's the metadata tagging. That's of course the key value that it's certainly machine learning, such as transcription, object labeling, and face detection. All these things
Yeah,
contribute to just making your entire archive searchable. Because I mean, it's a comparison of the way we used to work and the way we work today, right? You go back and you see you used to have to look for things. You used to have to know where what you were looking for was before you went looking for it. And that
yeah,
is no longer necessary because of
yeah.
AI. And then, of course, we've taken it further, and we collaborate with the companies like, for example, 12 Labs and others on semantic search, so that you can no longer even have to do necessarily the metadata tagging, but you can use semantic search to search on context and meaning, and you can search for example, the example we often use is searching for two people talking in a car. It's very banal, but then the system will throw up videos where two people are in a car talking to one another. And of course, that is not labeled in any way anywhere. That is just the processing and the image understanding of the semantic search engine that allows you to find all of those things. And when
Right.
these sort of when you have both the let's call it traditional metadata tagging, even though it is innovative and new, and the semantic search version of it combined, then you're able to discover, which is a different thing from search, right? Discover things in your archive and your material that allows you to just monetize it in a much better way, which
Yeah.
at the end of the day is what's the point, right? So you can go
Yeah.
back and combine all of these informations and metadata, and you can ask your archive for, I'm looking for this, and it'll show you this and the thing next to it that's also relevant and might be a better clip than the one you remember the guy over there used last week, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And what we hear from customers, it just allows them to make new content from existing content so much easier based on
Yeah.
just what you said there. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And then next, scalability and flexibility. Big concerns in media. How does Mimir adapt as an organization grows as their needs evolve?
I mean, and this allows me to talk about something I think is really cool, which I mentioned already, which is the serverless running on a serverless backend, right?
Right.
Which is it sounds incredibly boring, but it is so important when you're talking about true scalability, right?
Yeah.
Because if you run serverless, then you are running on multiple microservices, and those can be you can increase the capacity of those individually, right? So that there is no limit to the scalability of the tool itself, or how much content you can upload, or how many hours you can process, and all of these things. They are no longer limited, so nothing will run full, and nothing will stop working just because you tax the system. And at the same time, you with us, I mean, you pay for the number of licenses you have, the number of unique users you have in the system. You don't um, you can use it on as heavy or as light as you want within that, right? And you get the same power anyway, because our backend is the AWS backend and our IT team is the AWS IT team. And that's a pretty good IT team to have help you scale your solutions.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Okay. So Saga is an NRCS newsroom computer system for media teams. How does it stand out from other NRCS solutions on the market?
That's a great question. So Saga is correct. It is a newsroom control system. It stands out in, well, I would say two ways. One is the philosophical way, and the other is the technological backend that allows it to run. So from a philosophical perspective, it is a story-centric newsroom control system. So rather than, let's say, the past in which we had multiple different production lines, one for each output, we were heading towards. We had a social team, we had a radio team, we had a 8 o'clock news team. We might have a 10 o'clock news team, and they might not be the same teams even, right? And have multiple different production lines. The philosophy behind story centric is, of course, that you have one story, and then you work on that story and you gather all the research and the data and the scripts and the content in one place, and then you use that to create multiple versions of it, or instances as we call them, and you publish those to different outputs. So um, it's going from let's say a linear multiple production line philosophy to a story centric philosophy that is addressing the reality we are in now, which is truly multi-platform, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows now at this point that YouTube is the biggest TV channel in the world, and
Yeah.
everybody knows that they have to be on TikTok, Facebook, they have to, some of them have to still be on radio, they still have to do linear productions, but it doesn't make sense from a resource perspective. It doesn't make sense to work in silos. It only makes sense to work on stories and then publish them. And then if you look at the technical backend, same as with Mimir, it's a serverless cloud native tool, right? And this is incredibly important in the world of asset management, but I would argue that it's almost even more important when you're talking about newsrooms and journalists, right? Because when you work this way and your gateway to your main tool, which is the whole idea that Saga is the main tool that a journalist works in every day to write their scripts, do their research, plan their stories. When that becomes just as available to you when you're on the road or you're in a satellite office as if you're sitting right next to the studio, then that is a marked difference in how you can work, right?
Yeah.
So that's the main sort of, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Now, of course, collaboration is key in modern production. How does Saga make it easier for creative and technical teams to stay aligned?
So this is one of the main things that our customers have asked us for over the last few years, and just like a year or so ago, we launched. We call it, because it's the best comparison we can come up with. We call it Google Docs style collaboration. So multiple people can work on the same story, write at the same time. They can edit at the same time. One can be pulling in research and footage. The other one can be writing. The third one can be preparing the new the output going on to, let's say, TikTok. Somebody could be checking rights. So all of these things are available inside of the tool now, because this is always a worry for somebody working linear news. It is also possible to lock it for editing from everybody, because like when you're about to go on air, you don't want somebody to change the script. But
Yeah.
the idea is that people are used to this. Everybody's used to their tools now on a business to consumer level being fully collaborative, being possible to work with each other across any time zones. And it's only fair that this is also possible for journalists working on their stories.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's certainly AI and cloud you've discussed and spoke to very well here, but they're reshaping media production. So and you obviously have done that done that right, build that cloud infrastructure correctly. But how now are you staying ahead of the industry, or any shifts, or preparing for newer and newer technology and ways to use the cloud?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple of different things there. If touch on AI first, because our approach to AI is not to be an AI company ourselves, but rather to build strong APIs and strong plugin frameworks that make it possible for our customers to choose which AI to use themselves. Some cases, of course, we do a tighter integration ourselves. Where, for example, inside of Saga, you can ask it to suggest a tweet for you, um, and it will do that based on a background workflow that we've created. But especially for Mimir, I can't tell you which transcription service is the best at transcribing Korean, right? And I will never be able to tell you that. Korean broadcasters can, so they are able to then swap out to whichever service they think is best or integrate to that. And then also, even they can't tell you who will be the best in 3 months. So what we're doing in order to make it possible to sort of stay ahead of these shifts is to build frameworks that allow you to integrate the best technology at the time and also to easily swap it out, right? Because this will be an arms race for a long time, as it already has been for a few years now, in terms of
Yeah.
just making the best engine for this and that, right? And then of course we work on experimenting with stuff like agentic AI and all of these things, and we're very fortunate because when you work in again cloud native, you are we push out code to our customers every single week, right? They get new versions. They're not really versions, they're just deploys every week of new functionalities, small bug fixes, all of this. So we are able to very simply, to stay ahead of industry shifts and technology shifts, to do incremental experiments and to constantly improve. And that's something, it's a bit of a shift for customers who are used to having a new version every half year, right? And we
Yeah.
go, no, no, we're actually going to update 3 times this week because we think it's the right thing to do. But it does work out. And our customers who have been used to this for a while are now extremely happy to see a tool that constantly evolves and stays, as you said, at the sort of the developing end of the technology.
Yeah. 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 All right, and certainly we spoke about respecting customer names before. We know we want to respect maybe some confidentiality in your roadmaps. You may not want to share everything, but please, if you don't mind, tell us what innovations or updates you're looking forward to sharing with your customers in the next year, next 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of innovation and updates, as you say, so I can't tell you the roadmap because we don't work off a roadmap. We work
Right, right.
we work in a much more agile way. So I'm fortunate in that sense. I can't say something that the product team will be angry with me about. But what you'll see is that we focus on um, both staying at the head of, I mean, that's a given, right? It's sort of table stakes for us to stay using the most current, most advantageous technology when it comes to cloud and AI at any given time. This is something that we have to do because it's what we've built our success on so far, and if we stop doing that, we're not being fair to our customers,
Yeah.
and I don't think we could stop our developers from doing it anyway if we tried. So that's one side, and then on the other, you'll see from a pure usage perspective, we will try and address those things that are truly important to news organizations right now, which is being cost efficient, which is being really fast, not losing any speed because you're working in a different technological setup. There's no reason for that. Increasing the possibility of collaboration because we see that is so important to news organizations and people working with large libraries, and also making it easier and easier for people to reuse and monetize the content that they have in their vast libraries around the world. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, and Andre, as we wrap up again, thank you for this. Again, congrats on all your success. I think you're absolutely poised for a lot more growth. Impressive growth so far, but I think you're really going to take off. And we at CineSys certainly value our partnership. We enjoy working a lot with your American team, but know that everyone in the company is involved in that, and certainly anybody watching, eager to discuss with you any help with your content creation, your MAM PAM DAM, cloud workflows, and the use of integrating AI with the Mimir and Saga solution. So and of course we at Cinesys work closely with the Fonn Group, America's team. All right. So again, thank you so much, Andre, and great job, and thank you for speaking with us and sharing your knowledge.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Have a great day, and thank you, everyone.